Hi guys, it's Mia with the Cozy Bookshop, and I'm here today to do a very special video wrapping up all of the books that I've read in the first quarter of 2018. I actually make goals and kind of schedule a lot of my stuff around quarters of the year. I don't read enough books every month, I feel like, to do a monthly wrap up, so I figured why not do it quarterly? That way I have a decent amount of books to talk to you guys about, and it just kind of follows along with what I'm already doing. So, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up all the books today that I've read January, February, and March. And I'll give you guys the star rating and just some overall general thoughts. I'm not going to get into what the book was about or anything like that. Just give you a star rating and just some general thoughts if I have them. That being said, if I did do a book review or book chat on any of these, I will link them down below for you so you can check those out as well for some of my more intimate thoughts, I guess you could say, about the books. So, without further ado, let's talk about all the books that I read the first quarter of this year. I've got my star ratings down here, so if you see me kind of glance down, that's just to remind myself what rating I did give them. To start things off, I started about 2 weeks before the new year, so I finished The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, and I gave this a 4.75 out of 5 stars. I did really enjoy it. On the most part, I felt like some scenes dragged a little bit longer than they should have, but on the whole, thoroughly enjoyed it. He's not coming out with I don't know when the third book, it doesn't have a release date. I don't know if it will ever have a release date, but I'm looking forward to it if it ever does. The next book I picked up was The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson, and I gave this like 3.5 stars out of 5. This was by far not my favorite book. I think in terms of this series, I really liked the first book, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. So it is what it is. It wasn't a horrible read, it just wasn't as good as I think it could have been. The next book that I read in the first 3 months of 2018 was The Alienist by Caleb Carr. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Again, some portions of this book kind of dragged on a little bit too much, but on the whole, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I am watching the TV series as well. I have to say, I do like the book better because I feel like the book is a little bit easier to follow at times. But I am really enjoying the TV show as well. In the first quarter of this year, I also read The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and while it was an okay book, sorry, I was just trying to dig around to find it, and I realized I gave it away. While it was an alright book, and I obviously, I didn't think it was a bad book or anything, I'm not continuing on with the series. I have no interest in rereading it or holding on to it or anything, so I've gone ahead and unhauled it. It's on its way to donation, so there you go. Next, I picked up My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. Otherwise, I think they're known as the Lady Janies. I loved this book. It was my first 5-star rating of 2018. 5 out of 5. I loved it. This was just so good. I liked the whole fantastic fantasy aspect that they threw into history, and the fact that they tweaked history at the end. I liked that. Jane Grey is kind of one of my favorite, I don't know, she wasn't really a ruler, but she's one of my favorites, and they did a really good job. And then I reached up for The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I don't know why it took me this long to pick this bad boy up. A 5 out of 5 star reading. This book is just incredible. I bawled my eyes out, and I just have a whole new appreciation for it. I never read it start to finish. I'd always just read bits and pieces, so reading it start to finish really just killed my heart. So I really enjoyed it. Another 5 out of 5 stars. Then I picked The Muse by Jessie Burton. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm trying to remember why. There was something about this that I don't know. I felt like it got really into the story and then kind of rushed through the end. There was also with the characters, there was a little bit of slang or the way that the verbiage was used that I didn't really care for. I did do a review on this, I believe, so I'll link that down below if I did. That kind of gives a little bit more of an idea of my issues, but on the whole, a 4 out of 5 stars, a very solid book. Then I picked up my least favorite book of the year so far, and that is Mrs. Sherlock Holmes by Brad Ricca. I'm not going to go on and on about why I didn't like this book. 2 out of 5 stars. I'll link my review and book chat below for you if you want to find out. Then I did a readathon. I did the 24 and 48 hour readathon, and I picked up for that, the next few books are part of that, and I picked up The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It's just a very unique story about one of the minor characters in the Kingkiller Chronicles. Yeah, the Kingkiller Chronicles. I think that's what it is. And it's just it's a neat story. It's completely different from anything that I've ever read, actually. And while I don't think that this is for everybody, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I picked up Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I read it as part of the 24 and 48 hour readathon, and I kind of wish I didn't do that. I think I would have gotten a lot more out of this book had I not read it during a readathon, and I'd really given it the time that it needed to have. But I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's still a really good book. I just feel like this is a good piece of literature to go through and analyze a little bit more, and I didn't really do that, to be completely honest. So, there you go. And then I read The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. Now, okay, no, I did. I'm sticking with my original review of a 2 or 2.5 out of 5 stars. This had such a strong, start to it. I was so looking forward to it, and then it just dissolved into this just really weird, very confusing, out there ending, and I didn't really understand it, and I just ended the book feeling more confused and just lost, and I didn't really like that. I felt like I needed something more from it. I didn't really care for it. It had I had such high hopes because it started off so well, but for some reason, maybe it just was me not really analyzing it correctly. I don't know. It was lost on me though. So there you go. And I finally picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't really have any major issues with it. I'm trying to get a little bit stricter about my 5-star ratings. Sorry, my youngest son is eating right now, so I'm trying to get a little bit more stringent about what a 5-star read is for me. This was a 4 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I really did. I was kind of worried going into it, but I really did enjoy it. I'm looking forward to picking up the next book in the series quite soon, within the next few weeks soon. So there you go. That's what I gave it, a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Finding Fraser by Casey Dyer. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, another really good book. Just a cute little romance. Nothing super special. I actually read it really fast, which I was kind of surprised about. But it was just a cute, fun little romance. I knew how it was going to end. I knew exactly what was going to happen, but it was really fun to follow along with the journey. So, 4 out of 5 stars to Finding Fraser. Then I read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I bawled my eyes out. Oh my gosh, this book. It is still sticking with me. I just wrote the book review for it, not last week, and it's still, even just writing the book review, I was like, oh my god, did that really happen? I was still on the cusp of crying over this book. 5 out of 5 stars. I think everybody should read this book because it talks about sisters and family love, and what are you willing to do for your family? What comes first, your family, your loyalties? It just talks about it in such a way that's relatable, and it's very accurate. The story, the pacing of it is very well done. So there you go. Then I picked that up. Then I read The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was just a very average read. I'm not continuing on with the series. Keep your pit, like, don't shoot me for that, but I'm not going to continue on. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my thing. It was a very solid read. It was like everybody said, it was very atmospheric. It was very well done in that sense. I didn't really understand it. That sounds all, I just didn't. It's not my thing. So, but it was still, I mean, it was a good book. There was nothing really like inherently wrong with it. So, there you go. Then I picked up The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallaro, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Why did I give it? I don't know why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm changing that. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 stars because on, you know, thinking back, I really actually loved this book. I loved the first one's my favorite, and I liked this one more than the second one. So there's that, for what it's worth. But I think I gave the second one a 5 out of 5 stars too. I don't know. I'm loving this series. I love this take on, you know, where they're going with the Holmes and Watson relationship and storyline and everything. Super excited. I checked Goodreads. We're getting more. I'm ready for more. Come on, Brandy, give it to me. I want more, like, now. But this was good. 5 out of 5 stars. And then I picked up Death Note Volume 2. This was just a manga that I started last year, slowly working my way through when I kind of feel like I need something in between, or I know that I'm going into like a super long chunk of reading of big books. I just picked this up to kind of break that up a little bit. I don't rate them. So there's no rating to assign to that. And then I read The Poetic Underground Reverie. This is a poetry collection. And I just really, it's by Erin Hansen, and I really enjoy Erin Hansen. You probably already know her works, even if you don't know that they are her works. So I just really like her poetry. So then I read that. And the last thing I'm counting for this quarter, because as I'm filming this, I haven't finished it, but I'm finishing it before the end of March. So I'm just going to count it and throw it in. I already have my rating for it assigned, so I'm not really too worried. But that is The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. I will tell you this, I don't have much more left in this book. And like I said, I'm going to finish it before the 31st of March, which I think is when you guys are watching this. I'm not quite sure. 5 out of 5 stars, a solid. I loved it. You can watch any of my past 2 reading vlogs, and I talk about this because I'm reading it, and I just talk about it ad nauseum, mostly because I'm reading it. But I really loved this. I have fallen in love with the characters. I've fallen in love, not quite with the time period. It's a little early in English history, but kind of like right before I really fell in love with the time period of English history, if that makes any sense. But I am loving this book. So that is the last book that I read in the first quarter of 2018. That is a mouthful. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Those are all of the books that I read in the first quarter of 2018. I will say this, I had a reading goal of 40 books for 2018, and I think I'm going to have to increase that because that was like 18, 19, but like I'm already almost halfway to my reading goal for the whole year. So I think I'm going to have to increase that goal, which I'm okay with. I've been reading like crazy, and I'd say I've got some pretty good picks. I've got some pretty bad ones that I've read, some doozies, but I think on the whole, so far, it's been a really good reading year. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.